Have you ever wondered why you make certain decisions or why you behave the way you do, even when it doesn't make sense? What if I told you that hidden forces are influencing your thoughts, actions, and even emotions right now? You may not realize it, but psychological theories are quietly shaping your everyday life in ways you never imagined. In this video, we'll uncover psychological theories that are secretly controlling your behavior, decisions, and relationships. From the way you shop to how you judge others, these theories explain a lot more than you think. So, buckle up and prepare to have your mind blown. The halo effect. We all know how important first impressions are, but what if I told you they often trick you? The halo effect is a psychological bias where your overall impression of someone is influenced by one positive trait. For example, if someone is attractive or well-dressed, you're more likely to assume they are kind, intelligent, or trustworthy, even if you don't have any actual proof of these traits. This means that just because someone looks the part, you might end up overestimating their abilities or character. The halo effect affects everything from hiring decisions to forming friendships, and you may not even realize it's happening. The bystander effect. Picture this: you're walking down the street and you see someone who clearly needs help. But instead of rushing over, you freeze, waiting for someone else to take action. This is called the bystander effect, a psychological phenomenon where people are less likely to offer help in emergencies when others are around. You might think, if no one else is helping, why should I? The presence of others creates a sense of diffusion of responsibility, where everyone assumes someone else will step in. This theory explains why, in large groups, we sometimes fail to act when we know we should. The mere exposure effect. Ever noticed how you tend to prefer things simply because they're familiar? That's the mere exposure effect in action. Psychologists have found that the more you're exposed to something, whether it's a song, a person, or even a brand, the more likely you are to like it. This is why advertisers repeat the same commercials, or why you might start liking a song you initially disliked after hearing it a few times. Familiarity breeds comfort, and comfort breeds preference. So, the next time you find yourself choosing something just because, know that the mere exposure effect might be influencing your choice. Cognitive dissonance. Ever feel that uncomfortable tension when your actions don't align with your beliefs? That's cognitive dissonance, a theory that explains the mental discomfort we experience when we hold conflicting thoughts or behaviors. For example, if you believe smoking is bad but continue to smoke, your mind feels the conflict between your beliefs and your actions. To reduce this discomfort, you might change your beliefs. Maybe smoking isn't that bad. Or justify your actions, I only smoke occasionally. Cognitive dissonance is constantly at play as we navigate the contradictions in our daily lives, influencing how we rationalize our choices. The anchoring effect. Have you ever been influenced by the first piece of information you hear, even if it's irrelevant? That's the anchoring effect, where your decisions are heavily biased by the first number, fact, or detail you come across. For example, if you're shopping for a car and the salesperson starts with a high price, your brain anchors on that number, and any lower price they offer afterward seems like a great deal, even if it's still higher than the car's actual value. The anchoring effect is especially common in negotiations, pricing, and decision-making. Being aware of it can help you make more informed choices. The Pygmalion Effect. What if I told you that your expectations about others can actually change their behavior? This is known as the Pygmalion Effect, a theory that explains how high expectations lead to improved performance, while low expectations can hold people back. In classrooms, for example, teachers who expect certain students to excel often give them more attention, guidance, and encouragement, which in turn helps those students perform better. The same applies in workplaces or relationships. Your expectations of others can subtly influence how they behave, often without you realizing it. Loss aversion. Imagine you're offered a deal. You can either gain $50 or avoid losing $50. Which option feels more powerful? For most of us, the fear of losing something feels much stronger than the excitement of gaining something. This is called loss aversion, a principle from behavioral economics that suggests losses are more emotionally impactful than equivalent gains. This is why sales tactics often focus on the risk of losing out on a deal, and why people are more likely to hold on to investments even when they're losing money. Loss aversion plays a major role in decision-making, often causing us to be overly cautious or irrationally protective of what we already have. The availability heuristic. Do you ever feel like certain risks are more common than they actually are? just because you hear about them more? That's the availability heuristic at work. This theory suggests that people tend to overestimate the likelihood of events that are easier to recall. For instance, if you frequently hear about plane crashes in the news, you might think air travel is more dangerous than it actually is. In reality, you're much more likely to be in a car accident. But because car accidents don't make the news as often, they don't feel as risky. The availability heuristic skews your perception of reality based on what's easiest to remember. The social proof theory. Ever wonder why you're more likely to choose a restaurant with a long line than an empty one? This is due to social proof, a theory that explains how we look to others to guide our behavior, especially in unfamiliar situations. We assume that if many people are doing something, it must be the right thing to do. Social proof is a key factor in marketing, fashion trends, and even social media. Likes, shares, and reviews influence our choices more than we might realize because seeing what others approve of makes us feel safer in our decisions. The Reciprocity Principle. Have you ever received a free sample or a small gift only to feel like you need to give something back in return? This is the Reciprocity Principle in action, a psychological theory that suggests we feel compelled to repay kindness or favors. It's a tactic often used in marketing, where companies give free samples or discounts to create a sense of obligation in consumers. This principle plays on our deep-seated need for social balance. If someone does something nice for us, we naturally want to reciprocate to maintain that balance. The false consensus effect. Ever assume that most people share your opinions and beliefs? That's the false consensus effect, a cognitive bias where we overestimate how much others agree with us. This happens because we tend to surround ourselves with people who are similar to us, which skews our perception of how common our views are. This bias can lead to misunderstandings and overconfidence in our beliefs. Being aware of the false consensus effect can help us approach situations with more humility and open-mindedness. The Scarcity Principle. Why do we desire things that are rare or limited? The Scarcity Principle explains that when something is scarce or hard to obtain, we perceive it as more valuable. Whether it's a limited-time sale, a hard-to-find item, or a rare opportunity, scarcity makes us feel like we're missing out if we don't act quickly. This principle is used in marketing all the time, with phrases like limited stock or exclusive offer. Scarcity triggers a sense of urgency, making us want something even more simply because it's hard to get. From the halo effect to the scarcity principle, these psychological theories are influencing your decisions, behaviors, and even relationships without you realizing it. Understanding these hidden forces can help you make more informed choices and navigate life more effectively. Whether it's avoiding the bystander effect in an emergency or recognizing the anchoring effect in negotiations, being aware of these psychological principles gives you more control over your actions and decisions. So the next time you catch yourself following the crowd or justifying a purchase, stop and think, what hidden psychological forces are at play? By understanding these theories, you can take back control and make decisions that truly align with your goals and values.